hi, I'm Kim Peyton. I am the branch manager for NZISM Wellington branch, and I've done that for 3 years now. And in my professional capacity, I'm the manager, safety, health and wellbeing at Fire and Emergency New Zealand. So I've been at NZISM since I was PowerCo, I think. My manager there was a strong advocate for the safety management as a profession. And as I became more aware of where NZISM wanted to take itself professionally with a new chief executive, new governance structure, I became more interested in providing a leadership role within that, because I believe in the vision of NZISM. Originally my career was administration and was in that for 18 years and up to the level of executive assistant at what was the Department of Labour. And in that capacity also had engagement with the health and safety function within Department of Labour. And a advisor safety, health and wellbeing role came up, and I thought, well, I can do that. I've been an executive assistant, there's transferable skills there. Probably the main reason I love the work is it's people-centric. So like an executive assistant, you're with people and engaging with people every day. And with health and safety, it's people don't want to do it. They have this image of clipboards and hard hats, but actually it's way, way more than that.
How did you find the difference in the transition between public sector and private sector?
Yeah, it's both are so different. There's good bits in each type of sector. More bureaucracy in the public sector, which can become frustrating, and usually large organisations. Private sector, leaner hierarchy, so closer engagement with senior management and the board, potentially. Probably able to get more things done in a quicker way in the private sector than the public sector. But of course the public sector is well resourced, so that's one of the things I'm finding now. You've got other people that can help you do a lot of what I used to do on my own in the private sector, which is a huge help. The transition was from Department of Labour through to PowerCo, so that was moving into electricity and gas. I supported the gas part of the business. So that took it from what I learnt at Department of Labour, so the foundation learning of the Act, and then applying it in different risk profile, if you like, so the risk of gas, and then moving into New Zealand Bus, so public transport, and now fire and emergency. The thing I enjoy the most is working with the organisation or with the people that do the work to understand what those risks are and what they have in place to try and mitigate those risks. Yeah.
Where do you begin with somewhere like fire and emergency?
Oh, yeah, fire and emergency is a large organisation, so 14,500 people. 11,000 of those are volunteers, so it's slightly different in terms of a traditional workplace. So the first thing is I always do is I just come in and just to get I walk beside the people is what I try and do for the first 6 to 8 weeks or 3 months. Fire and emergency probably the first year. We have what's called a ride along, and so it's literally that you ride along with a crew, and that's probably the best training I've had. They're naturally cautious because they don't know who I am. I'm from national headquarters, you know, what does she know? She's not operational. But just by taking the time to settle into their world, want to be curious about that, show you want to learn and you're interested, it just helps foster that trust. So trust is critical. To help them say, okay, she does want to know what we do, and they start explaining how they prepare for a fire, what they're listening to as they're going, or an event as they go in the truck, what they're listening for, what they're preparing for. I think one of the things I've learned through my career is practice humility. So I used to think, what does that mean? You know, I don't want to be vulnerable, but it's actually not that at all. It's actually being open to learning something new.
I understand you recently transitioned between industries from working with the public transport into the fire service. What sort of challenges did you face throughout that transition?
With health and safety, the benefit of moving to a different organisation with a different risk profile is you start to, you challenge yourself, and you have beliefs from your previous role, but actually you come into this new role. The there is a different way of doing it because your market or your audience is different. And then with fire and emergency, the challenge is how huge the organisation is. So who is responsible for what piece of work, and just navigating that has probably been my biggest challenge.
How do you know when you've made a cultural impact? And maybe it's too young in fire and emergency, I'm not sure, but how do you know when you're sort of winning at that?
I don't know if you know you're winning because it's a long game, and so you're in this, it's like a change program, it's 3 to 5 years. But I often think about what's the little seed or the nugget of information I can sow today that'll just take a little bit of time, and you keep going back to it. But what I know when I know it's worked is I'll hear different senior managers using the same phrase or leading their teams in a conversation that I've had with them, so like almost train the trainer or teach the teacher. So it's that they'll start to say, we've got to look at this differently. And safety has to be forefront of mind, but we need to know why it's forefront of mind. So trying to lift the level of conversation.